Welcome back to the channel. This is Off the Pitch. If you're joining us for the very first time, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all social media handles. Don't be surprised and don't be wondering why you are hearing Off the Pitch. It is still the regular football page. However, we're now taking the conversation off the field of play, and today we will be going to what has been happening at the 2025 Wimbledon, where it has been an upset from both the men and the women's category. Like I always say, when it comes to the women's category, it's a lot of upset. 19 of the 32 top-seeded players in the men's category have kissed the competition goodbye. Uncanny Sam and the Bishop joined me as we look at the competition, which is rightly now in round 3. Yeah. Of course, with the top 2 seats in the men's category still remaining. But unfortunately, we cannot say the same for the women's top 2 seat because one has said, I am tired and I want to go. Especially for one lady who you said, there's a problem, Coco Gauff. It has been a problem transiting from clay to grass for Coco Gauff. And once again, Uncanny Sam is showing. But let's start with the men's tennis first.
Yep.
Crazy first round.
Crazy first round. We didn't see this coming. When that's funny.
Let me just in context. First man to go out, shocking.
Yeah.
Third seed, Alexander Zverev. Shocking.
The thing is this, right? I think, funny enough, people are taking you from a conversation. I think a lot of people are watching our conversation.
Absolutely, yeah.
What we're saying, sport has been liberalized.
Yes,
now the golf in talent is no longer as wide as it used to be before. That's just the truth right now. That explains why you have a lot of upset. I mean, back then, I think the longest time, for the first time, this is the second time we're seeing in a major where this number of top-seeded players were knocked down. Yeah, we're knocked out in the first round. Like you said, in the main tennis, out of the first 10, four gone. We're knocked out. You understand? We kick out of the
and that's 13 out of 32 of the men's top seed are out.
Well, I'm not talking about the first round.
Yeah, the first round.
First round. You're talking about. I mean, the number of upset was more. I'm talking about out of the
Medvedev,
first top 10 seed. Yeah.
Zverev,
you understand?
Musetti.
That was actually vouching for. You remember what I said about Musetti? So it goes to tell you one thing. Tennis too is expensive liberalization. The talent is so much right now. I think if the eras of the Federer is now, probably they wouldn't have actually been this dominant. Because I think, they wouldn't have actually been this dominant.
Now you've touched me where I don't want to be touched.
The truth is this, right?
Okay.
The truth is this, right? The number of talent coming and the amount of talent you see. I mean, Alcaraz almost get knocked out first round. Fognini came close.
Very close.
Came close.
5
Now that showed you the greed and the capacity of Alcaraz. When it came so close, Alcaraz. I mean, after that game, right? Somebody tweeted something. I said, "Look, I'll tell my kids this is the difference between Alcaraz and Sinner. He showed Sinner first round game, and he shows Alcaraz first round game. And people came. You understand? People came for him that look, blah blah blah. But the thing is this: whether I would like it or not, there is a huge amount of talent in tennis right now. You never can say what's going to happen. Now it takes a player of extreme talent and extreme ability to be able to remain in most of the.
I want to look at it from this point of view because like I said, I like to be a realist. In the days of the Rafa Nadal, the Djokovic, the days of the, of course, I can't remember the last guy's name.
Murray.
And bless you, bro. Andy Murray, they were extremely ahead. The gulf between them and others was visible.
Yeah, you look at the fact that the closest was one Martin Del Potro.
And then maybe Andy Murray, when he hits his stride, it was in 2019.
I used to think that way. Yeah, I used to align my thought with what you're saying.
The golf was
now.
But right now, it seems the quality of tennis players seems to be at par.
It's not at but now there is a growth. The game has opened up. We have a lot of people with the same amount of talent.
We agree.
See
the growth. What I mean by
there were more talented. There were less talented players than what we had back
because
then.
of the growth of
right
the game.
Now there are more talented players because
a lot
of players are now going into.
Before we used to say that tennis used to be from Britain. Where we had Britain had the dominant before.
That was so many years ago.
Exactly.
Before you and I were better.
Absolutely. So like you said, I agree with the liberalization. The fact
that
other countries are catching up.
Aside from other countries,
now
talent is catching up. It's not about countries now.
When did England win the Davis Cup or the United Kingdom win the Davis Cup? It has always been France.
Yes.
Spain, Serbia, and the rest dominated.
And that tells you that that's what I'm saying.
It is not what
some of these in other countries have improved. let me give for instance. Let me digress a bit before we come back to the Grand Slam. We hosted the Africa tennis championship in Nigeria, and then Nigeria used to be nowhere. We used to be in tier 2, and then later moved to tier 3. In tier 2, Nigeria group moved from tier 3 to tier 2. Here in Abuja, beat their rivals. I moved up. I know they moved down again after I went to South Africa and got beaten. But it tells you the growth of the game in every country is getting
that is
better.
Exactly what I'm trying to say.
So it's now making the sport competitive.
That is
absolutely.
It now make
everybody looks like they are at par.
The talent looks as
yes,
if they are at par.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like the talent are at par. There's nobody that is extremely
I said
good.
I'm still going to repeat it, right? If Djokovic, if Federer, I never thought I'm going to make this statement, but if Djokovic, Federer,
in this
Nadal in this era, they're not going to be. They'll be dominant. I mean, whether I like it or not. I mean, Alcaraz is still dominant. Yeah. Sina is still dominant. They've been cruising. Alcaraz has it easy yesterday against Tevez. Oli Tevez, you understand?
Yeah,
wonderful game. Even
straight set.
Yeah, but come on.
He struggled in the first set.
No, first set was easy. The last two sets, he struggled.
Yeah, he struggled.
Now,
against Tevez,
believe me, what I'm saying here is this, right? We wouldn't have actually have a Rafael Nadal that win 14 French Open. We would have actually, none of these guys probably would have won up to 20 Grand Slams. That's what I'm trying to say.
Especially for Nadal that dominated one Grand Slam and made it difficult for others to win.
Understand me. I'm not saying that they would have actually been that dominant, but not to this extent. Because come on, Alcaraz and Co will never get to that extent. Alcaraz and Sina.
And to add to what you're saying, you see, in those days, it was easy to call out these 3 names, and the next time to call it, you struggle to call out on that name.
Facts.
But right now, we can sit down here and call out 15, 20 players who have got a huge chance to win it.
Let me shock you.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me shock you. Tsitsipas is about, I think, 19 rated. I mean,
I think
it's right now.
Yes, he's in top 10.
No, Tsitsipas is 19.
He's dropped.
Yeah, he has dropped that much.
Wow.
Medvedev is 9.
The Greek god, I call him.
Medvedev is 9.
Yeah.
So the question is, who are the guys that are occupying number 3, 4, 5, 6,
Where
7?
are they from? Rune
is 8.
It's 8, yeah.
He's not even, you understand?
So
Zverev is 3.
Rune is 8. Musati is 7.
Musati is 7.
Yeah.
Right. So that tells you how liberalized the game is. That tells you how the amount of talent. We have so much talent in the game right now that anything can happen. Like I said, would have been saying,
I think one of the British guys in the top 10, Cameron. No, is it?
No, Cameron. Come on.
Tommy Paul is there. Tommy Paul is there.
Yeah.
Then I think Jack Draper is there. Jack Draper is there. And
The
none of these guys is British
Draper
now. No, this guy is British.
Jack Draper is
the last British guy I think was knocked out. Which is only no. I think.
Draper is true. I think
okay.
round 3.
Cameron Norrie is
true.
He's a British guy. I think he's only, yeah.
But the likes of for the British guys, I think some of the ladies suffered a lot.
Siniakova. We'll even go to the ladies. We'll go to the ladies. But
in the men's, I think Dan Evans also is true. You know, they managed to scrape through.
So I think we are going to witness more of this in years to come. Tennis has opened up. We have more talent across.
My question is, do you think it's now wide up? Because when we started, when we did
the
preview, we were like, oh, this is what people who's going to win it. We called out Sina.
I did not.
Carlos Alcaraz.
I was clear. I said
Alcaraz was
one of these.
Yeah, but I told you Alcaraz going to win it. Have you changed your mind?
I've not changed my mind.
He was always standing on the fact that Alcaraz was not going to win it.
Yes,
he said Alcaraz was the upset.
I remember. Have you changed your mind? What you've seen from round 1 to round 2, have you changed your mind?
I've not changed my mind. Alcaraz struggled. The 2 games he played, not as dominant as what this guy is. I mean, Sina.
Too easy.
You understand?
Too easy.
So my mind is to what it was as at when we preview the whole tournament. The simple truth is this: tennis, just like every other sport, has opened. There has been liberalization. You have a lot of guys. I mean, when you check guys actually knock these guys out, these are unknown quantities.
Unknown guys. You see, guys almost.
Some of these guys are not
I'm quite shocked, especially for Zverev. You know, I expect them to go into that game, take a clean sweep.
I think Zverev has been going down in large extent for a while.
He has never been that
because
guy.
Now
he has never been.
He came up, was among the top 5, and now sliding away from the top 5.
Been in top 5, been in top 3, been in top what?
Yeah.
He has never won a Grand Slam. He has been to final a couple of times. So he has never been that top guy.
But come on, man.
But he was always knocking on the door, trying to get there.
It was at some point the door was
because when I looked at his ranking, he's seated 9th in the Wimbledon rather.
No, it's not 9. Zverev. It's Medvedev that is 9.
Okay, Medvedev is 9. Sorry, Medvedev is 9.
Yeah.
So look at Zverev now for it's seated 3rd, I think.
I think 3rd.
Third, yes, 3rd
behind him.
For a player that should be pushing Alcaraz and Sina.
He has never been that guy.
But unfortunately, he's not there. Now in the Grand Slam, this is now his 2nd time he's crashing out in the first round of the Wimbledon.
But he has never been. Look, this is not the first time he's occupying that position. We expected them. We're talking about Zverev, Medvedev, TM. Remember the Tsitsipas. We expected them to push it down to the brim. But they couldn't do that. So I never expected anything for him. The only thing is, when it goes to ATP, wonderful performance, Ghana so much point. show up his ranking.
I'm sure of the ranking. When he gets to the Grand Slam,
when he gets to major,
Is it the
he
mental block?
struggle. Not mental block. I mean, it's about the amount of talent.
It's not good enough.
It's about amount of talent in him, because we've seen guys breaking that. We've seen Medvedev winning a Grand Slam. We've seen what's his name, Dominic Thiem winning a Grand Slam. You understand?
Yeah.
We've seen, like we say it. If not for injury, I was watching some of the old things, because before the commencement of the Wimbledon Open, I was watching some of the old games, right? I mean, Del Pedro, like rightly mentioned. So we've seen guys like that. So I mean, your amount of talent, no matter how you could actually be. See, I just feel over the years, right, we are talking about him, right? Because he consistently
Gets
punch above his talent. So. Not because he was that talented, but because consistently.
You just mentioned it. When you're speaking, one name just came into my head. Nick Kyrgios.
He's never been that guy, no.
He hits and anyway. Like I
said, never been a top 10 player.
He does.
He has never been a top tennis player.
Exactly.
He has never been a top tennis player. I hardly talked about him because he has never been a top tennis player.
Now let's look
He's
at.
known for his antics.
So can I now work really cool of Carlos Alcaraz, the grit? When people say, this is one thing I love about Alcaraz, and I tell you, he's not always flamboyant. He's not a Ferrari.
He's more flamboyant than Cena.
No, I'm just saying, people may not say, no, sometimes he can go on a rampage and he's very good. But when he's not at his very best,
he still finds a way to grind that
that's
result.
what I love about him.
No, on the contrary, the reason why Cena is still topping when it comes to ranking is because of this thing you're talking about. Now,
Cena
listen to me.
makes his job easy.
No, listen to me. When the days are bad for him, on his bad day he struggles. On his bad day he doesn't get that result. That explains why he's easily. Each time Cena is beaten in a championship, either in an ATP or in a major Grand Slam, go and check who defeats Cena. But each time Alcaraz is defeated,
a smaller person. Yeah,
smaller person. So don't tell me that that day. I think the god of tennis was by his side, because Fognini would have knocked him out, and would have been talking about him, and I would have said, "Look what I told," and I still insist. I'm standing on that.
I may not share your sentiments.
You're standing on the ground that Alcaraz will still not get go all the way.
Alcaraz is the person that will suffer that big upset that we're talking about.
Come on, man. Like I said, I don't think so. I know he didn't play his best tennis.
No problem.
But don't forget, tennis players get better as tournament goes on.
No problem for Novak Djokovic. Showing his experience once again.
No, he thought it wasn't easy for him. He thought it wasn't easy for him. And now that's what we're talking about. Now, this is the same Novak. Well, I understand age and everything. But funny enough, some 2, 3, 4 years down, ago, he wouldn't have actually dig this deep to be able to get there. To tell you that the gulf in talent has been closed
up, yeah.
It has been closed up. It's not what it used to be.
But
every game,
but maybe at the end,
it makes tennis more entertaining, because every game is a game to watch out for.
But don't forget,
first game, yesterday,
he's not a child either.
I understand that, and that's what I'm trying to. I spoke about age, right? But we just finished talking about Alcaraz here. Yesterday, game 1, it was as if Alcaraz is going to be.
Knocked out.
As if Alcaraz is going to have a straw in the park.
But it didn't happen.
Game 2, he has to break twice to be able to win the game 2 and game 3, and that's what tennis is all about right now. Very entertaining, very competitive. A lot of unknown guys coming from nowhere, upsetting the big guys, you understand, and making tennis lovable.
And funny enough, qualifiers.
Now let's go to the women's category. Coco Gauff.
I said it, and I insisted that he was trying to argue with me. I said, look, if it is
how
Coco,
do you move from winning
the
one Grand Slam?
See, her number 1 fan is so sincerely sitting down here. I was all out for Coco Gauff, but after a series of disappointment, seeing her going up and down, like I said, I think what works with Coco most at times is moment. But the other part, the talent is not there, because with the guys that have the talent, it's not about moment, it's about consistency.
Now, is there too much pressure?
There's never been any
because now let's look at it.
In years now, she has never been the face of female tennis.
Now let's look at it. She's always struggling from transitioning from clay
to grass.
To grass.
A problem.
No, and it's now coming up every year.
The issue of transition, right? If we're going to talk about that, I think let's be holistic about that. See, almost everybody does that. With the grass, the ball does not bounce very well, and the ball does not move as fast as it is. I don't know how true this is. I could remember Medvedev saying something like, if he had known, he would have joined Kasper Ruud not to participate in this and that. And the funny thing about the grass is you have just, I think, 3 grass cut.
That's all.
Every year.
All calendar.
So you have
they don't really play on the grass.
So they don't really play on the grass. So if it is the issue of transition from grass, with all her success, Swiatek has never gotten to the semi-final in the grass. With all her success, what's her name? Sabalenka has not won on the grass. So with the grass, it's a different thing entirely. You need to understand. Look, I think there must always be a bit of luck. But with the hard court and the clay court,
you know what
your
you
ability
get.
can
You know what you get. You know what you get. Yeah.
It's not about her alone. It's about, who was the last winner of the Wimbledon Open? It was Kvitkova.
I'm gonna bring from this point of view. There's some people who are very good with surfaces. We talk about Sabalenka when she's very good with the hard court. She on her day. Now, I think for the grass, may not be the best for Sabalenka, But I think the British players seem to enjoy playing in the.
How
in the
come they've
grass.
not been dominant? How come they've not won?
And
They've not won the Grand Slam
Simple.
in
Nobody.
recent times.
No, Raducanu won it 2 years ago.
One hit wonder. Since then, where has she
Where's
been?
Raducanu after them? You are struggling to mention. Now, Pegula also crashed out.
Surprise. But
Surprise.
yeah,
Number 4.
I think her case has to do with fatigue because she played the Hamburg final.
6-2, 6-3. Very easy to Elizabeth.
Coscareto. Yeah.
For her, I think fatigue played a little role because she just finished playing a final in Hamburg on
Yeah.
grass, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Before moving to the Wimbledon. Number 3, one of the greatest tennis players, she and Ima Navarro, you understand? They're billionaires. Though they're tennis players, but their parents are billionaires. But I love the commitment they have, the passion they play
have for
this
the game,
game.
yeah.
You might think these girls are still looking for, some money for themselves. No, they are that rich because they love the game and they want to be competitive. Very, very competitive. I love how professional she was after the game. She was like, look, she played very well. Just that her opponent was better than her that day. And she didn't know how comes about that. You understand? But it's the grass, like we say. Grass is full of surprises. Or that court, you don't get this much number of surprises. But with the grass, you get this number of surprises. But still coming back to even the Gauff again in talent.
Yeah.
So there is a growth in tennis talent all over the world. So nobody's dominated since Serena dominated the
But I think the women's
category.
nobody
has been able to
even
dominate
apart
by-
from that, I think
by
women,
the likes of
after,
Sharapova
exactly
and the rest.
Sharapova, Venus Williams,
Nobody
has conquered.
been able to.
But the truth remains,
dominate.
man. Women's tennis, since like you said, none of the scene has been neither here nor there. Anybody could
Doesn't
just
have a
score.
face,
Like now,
particularly.
look at Marketa Vandrosa.
She lost yesterday.
beaten by Raducanu. Who would have thought that?
Who would have thought that? Yeah.
Petra Kvitova is out.
And 2 years ago, I think she was.
Jabbar out in the first
Exactly.
round.
I mean,
and this is a
I
lady.
told about
And this is a
Ons,
lady that won the Wimbledon 2 years ago in 2013.
Yeah, right, Marquez is going to be playing.
2023, I beg your pardon,
Yeah,
that's,
2023.
Marketa. So to drop out in the first round. So you look at all
Even the person that
these
won
things,
last year came close to
close to
losing.
dropping
yeah,
out again
I'm
as
talking
well.
about
So
Pliskova,
I
if
think
I'm not
women is
mistaken.
more inconsistent than the men. As much as we say the men, there's liberalization in the men, but I think women, I don't know what the problem is.
I've always tagged women tennis as inconsistency for me.
But
And that's
I
the
think
word
it's
I
even
put it.
competitive. It's not inconsistent for me.
Because-
Because if you have one person dominating,
No.
that's what makes
It's
it boring.
not, I know.
I understand
But
you. No,
you
Organisa,
need to
I
keep
understand
a
the
certain level of
competitive nature
professionalism.
of the women's tennis, but even in being competitive,
You have
there's a level of dominance we should see.
Yes.
But in the women's tennis, we don't see
it.
I don't think there's been
We saw
in
something
recent
close
times.
to that.
Now,
We saw
in
something
recent
close to that.
times,
Just that,
I don't
yeah.
think there's been
I think
a tennis
the
player.
last person
in
who did that was
women's
Ashley
tennis.
Barty.
I don't think there's a
Ashley
tennis
Barty
player
got because she
that has
retired.
gone to won the entire 4 Grand Slams in a
I
year.
won 3 and 4.
And at least don't even win the 3. Win 2 and get to either the final or semi-final of the remaining 2.
No, this person did it last year. What was her name? Zabelenka. She won the Australian Open.
Yeah.
She won the US Open. She was in the final of. I think she was in the semi-final or the final.
Semi-final.
The semi-final of
Didn't
the
get
Wimbledon
yes,
Open. You understand?
yes.
Then she was in the final of the French Open. If I'm
Now,
not mistaken, last year.
which
So
is-
that's not consistent. Now she aside, right? I'm not saying
Exactly.
that's been consistent.
And
That
she's-
has
and
5
she's-
Grand
she's
Slams.
won- she's number
Is
1.
Iga Swiatek.
Swiatek,
Iga
yes.
Swiatek
Has
started
been
last year.
consistent, I
She's
agree.
been con- yeah,
She's been
she went
consistent.
at something matches without losing.
But
Losing a
injury
single game.
is
But
not playing.
it's a
Injury is
pocket
not
It's
feud.
not injury.
Injury
It is
played a
the
big role.
doping. No, it's a doping scandal that actually messed her up.
But it's
Last
a
year,
pocket
she-
feud.
she
But she was injured
suspended.
at some point.
No, she was.
No, she
Yeah,
was
but
suspended.
the injury was
No,
never a
no,
problem.
okay,
The injury
no,
was
no
never a
problem,
problem. Yeah,
okay.
it was the doping scandal that messed her up. When that doping scandal, she's young. That's what we don't actually understand with these people. They're young, so emotionally they are fragile. Then from nowhere, somebody come and tell you that look, you violated, and they live a regimented lifestyle.
Yeah,
Just
where
from nowhere, somebody
anything
come
can
and tell you out
happen,
of
yes.
carelessness, somebody come and tell you that
Anything
you
can
violated something. You are going to be suspended for so number of this thing, and you have a bad name already. You took what you're not supposed to take. You violated a code of conduct in your game, so it affected her so
she has to be
bad.
suspended.
Look, she has never been to the semi-final of what they call
Since
it
then.
of any grass
Since then,
court.
since then,
Not
yeah.
even the decent. And
Since
since
then,
then, she's been struggling. She went to the Australian Open. I think she got knocked out easily. She was in the French Open. She didn't go far, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
And
round 3
Now,
in the French Open.
now she's in round 2, going to round 3.
And this brings
in
me
this
back
one.
to why.
So she has been the face before
she
Zabalenka.
was the
And
face.
no,
She was the
you
face,
know, there was this Zabalenka, she, and Rybakina.
Americana. Yeah,
Now,
just
but
know, yes.
before then, Naomi Osaka was supposed to be the
Osaka
face.
was inconsistent.
I mean, she
And then she
it
went.
was self-inflicted.
Yes.
She allowed so many issues, emotions.
I think that issue with
And
them.
off the
off
issues,
field,
yes.
Serena Williams, all those issues around came in.
to get into her and
sacking
then she began to
coaches,
struggle.
talking anyhow to media,
And
trying
then,
to be
I think it was
condescending.
the first person that made me know there was something called mental health. It was Naomi Osaka. I remember.
Well, it was all over the news about her mental health and she did. But in all of these
Yeah.
guys, we now know, of course, it's looking like we're having a clear way, in the men's and women's
Yeah.
tennis.
Well, for the
at
Coco
Wimbledon.
Gauff, at least you've not agreed with
I've
me.
eaten humble pie.
Yeah, you've
I
not agreed
know,
with
for
me.
the first
Now,
time, I
she's not going to be
eat
there,
some
right?
Yeah,
She's not gonna be there.
shockingly.
One person that I know somehow is going to push and probably get to the final. Like I said,
Swiatek.
Zabalenka.
I think Swiatek.
Swiatek might get to semi-final. She find it difficult to play in grass, and the opponent she has actually faced so far, opponents are beatable. Even though we said there is the Gauff in Thailand has actually.
But anyway, I looked at the part. I look at the part for the ladies, and I realized that looking at the route to the semi-final, I feel think the best tennis players remaining will make it through. Except there's any upset, the best tennis players remaining in the women's circuit at the Wimbledon will get to the semi-final. I look at the route. Who they made after they meet to.
Well, but you have more. I think
you're talking about
this because you're talking about the female category where you have number 2, 3, 4, 5,
yes.
all gone already.
Yeah.
All gone. Then you have number 7, I think, because Badosa is gone too.
Badosa is gone.
And I think she's 8 right now, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Badosa is ranked 9.
9. So she's among the top 10. So you're talking about, I mean, a category where almost 6 out of the top ranked player are gone already. Come on, what are you talking about? So it's easy for Sueva to win that predictable. Yeah.
I would likely to see a new winner in the women's category. A new Grand Slam champion.
Rebekina was a winner some times ago.
Yeah.
Sincerely speaking, I'm rooting for Sabalenka. Forget about her antics. You know, when
she plays
lost,
good tennis.
Yeah, she plays good tennis.
Yeah.
And I think she has sacrificed so much. She's been that player that's been around there. For each of the Grand Slam, for each of the majors, right? When she goes there, she makes her presence count.
And the fact that she plays, I'm more interested in the kind of tennis she plays. I think after she's
a bit masculine.
Exactly. That physical kind of tennis we saw with Serena Williams, she seemed to epitomize it and redefine it again. You know, to look so nice. I kind of want to, but I think my heart still goes to Iga Swiatek. I think
just to say it quickly, right? You remember my argument on Jeboa here?
She's gone.
No argument. You guys were trying to tell me that no, she's good. I said no. Oz has never been a talented player because she's this. We speak so much about
because I would read an article on her. A lot of people are saying the pressure. I would read an article yesterday.
No pressure.
The African pressure. She carries the flag of Africa on her head.
She's that popular. She's that because I
think she's
popular. How much of
popular.
Madison Keys do you know? How much of Madison Keys do you know?
Not really.
I think
she won the Grand Slam last year.
Yeah.
But now she's not as big
popular as
so
it's pressure.
No pressure. She's this popular because of where she's coming from.
She's
because
coming
we've never
from.
That's just the reason
the player at the level of
is that not enough pressure?
No, it's not pressure at all.
Because
nobody has come from that. Just like how this guy Kevin Anderson had a problem when
it's not pressure at all.
The Arabs are claiming South African, and it never happened for him.
I think Anderson was good, but he was playing in an era where they were better than him. And the talent was also not there.
See.
Okay, for Gavin Anderson, talent was also not there.
The guys that were in the era of the Novak, right, of the distance, right, the talent was skin deep. Their talent were skin deep. Let me put it that way. The guys in that era, that's my position, and I hold on to that because we would have seen a lot of upset if there was not that. Now, just wait and see. Years to come, you guys come back and say, yeah, somebody once said it. This guy's going to be this dominant. So there's not going to be that. There'll be a lot of upset against the Sinner of this world, against the Alcaraz of this world, because the Gauff talent is not much against. So for Jeboa, she's that popular because of where she's coming from, not because she's that talented, not because of the amount of talent she has. And not because of how dominant she has. Nothing like pressure. As
the fact that she's from Tunisia,
she's enjoying
in Africa,
Arab.
She plays it out.
She's enjoying it.
She's enjoying it, but it's not enough pressure. Everybody's want to see on Jeboa succeed, including me.
Okay.
No matter where she gets to, people celebrate her. Because we've not seen people like her in tennis. Simple. No matter where she gets to, people still celebrate her.
Hopefully, Ons Jabeur will be able to bounce back. But similarly, good news for British tennis players, Cameron Norrie and Katie Butler,
and Jack Draper as well.
and also advancing to round 3 of the men's and women's category at the Wimbledon. Now it is getting interesting. Some players have kissed the Wimbledon goodbye and will probably try in the last Grand Slam of the year at the US Open.
Yeah.
To see whether they can still lay claim to something before the end of the season. Okani Sam still insists that Carlos Alcaraz will be the biggest shock at this year's Wimbledon. He still insists that you're still going with Sinner to go on to win it.
Well, either Sinner or
Novak. Don't forget if
Sinner or Novak.
If everything goes well, Sinner will play Djokovic.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm saying. Either Sinner or Novak. Either of the two.
Sinner or Novak.
In root final, you understand?
Okay, so we went to see how that pans out. But for Novak Djokovic, his part is through, I think, Sinner.
Yes.
His part is through Sinner. Unfortunately for him, he would have loved his part to be through Alcaraz. Maybe there would have been a chance for him to get to the final out there in England. But guys, just before we go, one thing I love about the competition in England is the culture.
The culture.
The culture.
The decency.
And I think it is something that even as well, Maybe that's what, to bring it down a bit to football. Maybe that's what the Club World Cup is trying to force on us. By America doing it. Maybe we are struggling to adapt to it because it's new to us. Could it be a reason?
Elitist game. That's number one. And I think it is an English game. That's number two.
Elite game.
But elitist game, yeah.
That's what that's been taken.
Now, you see the way people behave. You see the way people carry themselves.
Yeah.
You see everything about the game and be like, you even love what you're seeing around the game outside the game.
Don't you love what you see outside the game?
So it gives you that feeling that, okay, I think it's an attempt to preserve the British
de la creme. People gather
cream and proper
water.
yes. It's an attempt to
preserve their culture.
Proper British culture. And guess what they're doing? Last year turnover was 104. Even though they have one of the poorest reward system. Because
very bad,
the US Open last year is still more than what
by
we're
far,
going to get.
by far,
But here is it. They're about to enlarge, everything around there. They've gotten to go ahead to build more courts around it so that they can be, because they don't do qualifiers there.
Oh.
No, so they want to be doing that. Even though there's a problem from the Save the Park, I think Save the Wimbledon Park, a group trying to say, look, you must not tamper with what we have right
because
now.
Of exactly
because of
the
they
environment
want to preserve the environment and
everything.
everything.
Yeah.
But the organizer is saying, the owners of this competition are saying, look, we need to expand. Qualifiers should take place here. There should be pre-tournament activities before the tournament proper. I think that's what it's just like. But the other part, when you go, almost everybody looks like a decent human being. You don't eat anyhow. You don't talk anyhow. You don't make noise. You don't even clap when somebody loses a point. You understand?
You respect
You
him.
don't.
Fair play.
The umpire has the final say. When he said quiet,
everybody
goes quiet.
When it says quiet, everybody goes quiet.
To add, imagine maybe the next episode of the Upfield will be on suit. On time.
When a Nigerian wins, but of course, it's the beauty of the sport, and I think one of the things I must give to the British people is preserving their culture, and to ensure the culture continues to grow and move from generation to generation. There's something different once it gets there. The aura, the enthusiasm about the competition is amazing. Now it is not just
people took that with t-shirts, man.
No, it wasn't just Tuchel. There was John Cena. It was David Beckham. But David Beckham is the
Idris
face,
Alba.
is the face of sport entertainment. Let me put it that way. Nobody comes close in football to David Beckham's elegance in terms of style. Guy,
imagine
the la creme de la creme.
Imagine a sport
football entertainment.
A ripped jeans is not allowed. A ripped jeans that you understand.
Crazy.
Like that is the amount of
that's for the Americans. For the Americans.
Something that Boniface will carry Pella and drink. Of course, so that's it for the round 1 and round 2 of the ongoing Wimbledon. Do you expect any upset? We've seen plenty of names crash out already, but the top 2 seed in the men's category are still the top 2 seed are still going very well, including the old warlord Novak Djokovic. Can he make it number 25, or will he wait once more? He's getting closer to his retirement, but he still thinks he's still got what it takes to push for that one last Grand Slam. Off the pitch, brought to you by Azar Studios.